Madhav, give me one win from the past few days since I last saw you.
One win in the last few days, man. Yeah, I met with my client. He moved back to Manchester. Showed him the progress. He loved it, you know. Plus, I've recently got some new hires. Recently got a new hire, and she's been doing amazing work. So that's definitely good for me.
Bro, that's massive, man. So clients come closer and you got new hires. Like
Yep,
that's just a win-win. Like so
two
perfect.
wins for the price of one.
My name's Hakeem. I'm a software engineer working for eBay, and I am the host of Web3 Made. Now, this is a first ever podcast I'm going to be doing, and it's called Interview with a Dev. Now, today we have Madhav here, who is a young, what's the word? Aspiring, entrepreneur. Well, he is an entrepreneur. He's a CTO and founder. 21 years old. I met him a couple of days ago at an event here in Manchester, and he's like honestly very inspirational. He's motivated me to work my ass off harder. So yeah, without further ado, Madhav, why don't you give yourself a brief introduction?
Yeah. So everyone, I'm Madhav. I'm the CTO of MYT-Tech, and where we build custom software for startups, primarily in the high performance space, especially with regards to web technologies, IoT, essentially anything that needs to run fast. And yeah, I've been doing this for a couple of years now. You know, I'm doing it while I'm studying at the University of Manchester.
Yeah, yeah, amazing, man. So I had a question about that. Like, so why did you choose to study like after already having this business? Like, why did you choose to go to Manchester Uni?
Well, I didn't have this business before the uni, or at least, well, it wasn't very big. But realistically, there's two options really. There's a couple of reasons. For one, I got a full scholarship to study at the uni, so it doesn't really cost me anything.
Oh,
And another one is because I got the scholarship, I was able to move to the UK, and there's been a lot more opportunity here. And I think the clients that I have right now, I probably wouldn't have had them if I didn't move to the UK. And honestly, university teaches you a lot more than you would being self-taught, because there's a lot of things that I'd say are very difficult to find online, because it's more online resources are more about the execution of things, as opposed to learning the in-depth stuff that you definitely won't have to use in the real world.
mm,
But it's definitely very good to know when you get more advanced and you need to know the underlying specific of what you're trying to do, instead of just trying to make it work.
100%. Like, I never went to uni for computer science, but obviously I wish I did I wish I did, and I still can. But the experience that I get now, the lessons that I get taught now are on the job, So it's on
Yeah.
the job. Like I'm learning from people who are way better than me, like seniors and principal engineers that got decades of experience. So like, those are my mentors that I learn from now. But if I didn't have that, I would definitely go to uni or some sort of online course where I can have access to mentors that I can just learn from. So yeah, man, that's smart. That's smart. Um,
Exactly, and I think at uni, you have this entire course full of people who have the same interests as you, and they're
mm,
on the same pathway as you. And I think that's very motivating as well, right?
yeah,
That really helps push you forward. Because then when you just do it on your own, it's a very lonely experience. And if you start working on it, right, no one's gonna say, what if no one's gonna push you. And that's definitely a big pitfall of like self learning.
100%. And how long is your course?
It's 3 year course.
3 year course. Are you gonna do a
Yeah.
masters at the end, or gonna just say nah, just 3 year bachelor's?
Nah, I'm not going for masters.
Yeah, yeah, no need for that. 3 years is enough. Great. So I guess like I want to know more about your background. So you said you're not from the UK. So where are you from, and how did you get from there to the UK? What was the process?
Yeah, so well, I was born and raised in Malaysia. Just standard Malaysian life. And in Malaysia, we also do A levels for our pre-university course.
Mhm.
I didn't really think I'd ever come to the UK, because obviously it's very expensive, right? But I was like, I did A levels. I might as well apply to uni in the UK. So I was like, fuck it. Top five unis in the UK. Apply in the UCAS. And then I got the offer from Manchester. which was like the best offer I got. Then I got the scholarship from CIMB, which is like a bank in ASEAN, so Association of Southeast Asian Nations. And yeah, they got me a scholarship, hooked me up, and that's when I came to Manchester. It was quite funny because I basically didn't know I was coming to Manchester until like 2 weeks before the start date of the uni. So it was so hectic.
No way, no way. So like, did you have to get a visa sorted and all that stuff?
Yeah, in 2 weeks, and this was during COVID, so it was so stressful. Yeah.
Damn. That's insane. Jesus. Wow. Okay, so Malaysia, right? So it's funny because I remember when I was speaking to you at the event and I was saying how great I've heard great things about Malaysia. I guess the fact that you came here, there's not that many opportunities out there, like in a business sense, but it's a great place to live if you've already accomplished something elsewhere. Is that true, or am I wrong on that?
No, there's definitely a lot of opportunity in Malaysia. But I think just with in general, there's better opportunity in the UK.
Mm.
I think that I definitely work better in the UK business sense.
Mm.
I think in Malaysia the way that business is conducted is definitely very different. I guess in Malaysia it's very much you have to like it's more of and I think mostly in Asia it's more of the people who've been there longer than you by default. They are your seniors and they have to
Mm.
and they take precedence over you. And obviously that's incredibly discouraging as a young person, as a young high achiever, because simply because you haven't been there long enough, you're kind of suppressed like that. And I think coming to the UK definitely helped, skyrocket my career because that stigma is entirely gone. I think the UK and definitely a lot of the Western countries, they really love young entrepreneurs, young people who are trailblazers, and that's what I love about the West really.
Yeah, man, that's 100% true. Like UK and America, like pretty big on that. I was gonna ask you, like in regards to the whole age thing. I remember when we spoke at the event, you were saying like some people that you tried to hire didn't want to work for you because like you were younger than them, or like how could I report to someone who's younger than me? Like you just
Yeah.
said, they assume you have less experience and so you're less qualified, blah blah blah. Like, what's been your experience in trying to hire the right people that respect you and don't have that stigma associated with them?
Yeah, I think it's one the age is one thing, but I think the another thing is it's a 4-person company, right?
Mm.
We don't have massive investor backing, right? It's just money that we get from our clients. So on that sense, right, in a job security sense, it's probably not as secure as getting a job at Microsoft or Google,
Mm-hmm.
uh, right? And that's completely valid concern. But yeah, I think that's definitely the but yeah, the whole that respect thing. I think that's definitely something that does come up. And I think what I just really need to highlight is, I tell people at the interview, this is exactly the company that you're working for, that you apply to. If you want to continue in the process, you can fully, that's entirely up to you. You can end the call now, you can end the call now. But yeah, I think what's really, the target, audience for people I can hire are other like trailblazing uni students because
Mm-hmm.
they know what it's like. They've been through it, and they fully have conviction in themselves as well. And those are people I love to work with.
Mm. And like being in Manchester, is it hard to find? Well, it's always hard to find the right people, but like how do you find these hungry students that have the skills, the hunger, the ambition, and the resolve to like perform like at your place? Like how do you find them?
I think a funny story about this is um, this guy. He used to see me around a lot at the uni building, just teaching people stuff and whatnot. He
Mm.
didn't know where I was, but he knew my friend. So he sends my friend an email saying, "Yo, the guy you hang out with sounds pretty cool. Can you give me my number?" Right? And then we formed like a study group, and now like, friends with all these like top students. And I think that's there's an inclination at uni where you wanna mix with other top students, right?
Yeah.
And I think naturally you form that kind of because you're not going to be friends with like 600 people, and that's how many people in the course, right? but you definitely can be friends with like the top 50, right? And you know, because we all have the same similar interests. We love computer science. We love working hard, and I think just naturally you end up knowing who's really worthy.
I like that. So basically, you got attention. Like they came to you. Like you got attention off. Well, in this scenario, he came to you, right? You marketed yourself correctly. He came to you, and now he's working for you. Is that what happened? Basically.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't really consider it marketing myself. You know, it was just I think helping people and teaching others. That's the right thing to do. And he saw me doing that at uni, and I think that's where he realized. And I really think it is best if your work speaks for you.
Yeah, 100%. And that is exactly what you did. Like, you may not realize that it's marketing, but everything's, whenever you get attention, marketing is just another word for attention. At least that's how I perceive it. Because that's what it is. It's just like awareness of you or this brand or this company. It's just awareness, right? It's getting known. Like if that guy didn't know who you were, he wouldn't have came to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, like that's awesome, man. That's awesome. I love to hear stuff like that. Okay, so what motivated you to create this startup that you have at such a young age? Like, why didn't you just go down the traditional job route? Like, why did you decide to set up your own agency?
I mean, let's be like if you go for the job kind of space, you're kind of entirely dependent on others, right? To you know, to for your livelihood, right? And you know, I've been a leader in a lot of things in high school as well, and I found that I'd much rather be the visionary one, the leader, than being one of the pawns in the system, because I think you have much less control, right? And I think that was one thing. Another thing was obviously the money, right? I think if we look at the world as it is right now, the managerial class, the owners, right? They kind of disproportionately have control most of the wealth, right, as opposed to the workers. And I think I'm definitely trying to change that. I pay my employees very well, but I think the reality of the situation is I don't really think globally it's going to get much better anytime soon. And I think graduating from the working class to the owner class is something that will lead to better financial security than any other pathway, really.
Yeah. 100% agree with that. Like being self-employed, you have to do everything: the marketing, sales, business development. Like you have to be like a guy that can do everything, not just tech. Like coding, just one part of it. So what has been the biggest challenges for you, and how do you manage like all those responsibilities whilst developing as well?
Yeah, I think it's quite scary. Jumping from just working, because you get your fixed paycheck, and that gives you some sense of stability, right? But now when you want to make your startup, you have to fit under all these different roles. There's no guaranteed paycheck, right? It's entirely up to you, right? And being someone working class, there is no like safety net, right?
Yeah.
If I go broke, I'm broke. There's no safety net. But I think one of the more difficult things is accepting the fact that I'm not going to be great at everything. And I think accepting failures. Like I've failed way more times than I can count, right? And that's led to me being a better manager, better person, better programmer, so better at everything. And I think when you want to really push your boundaries, right? Especially in the startup phase, you have to get rid of the fear of failure. I think that was one of the hardest things to do.
Okay. And did you have any mentors at all?
Yeah, I did. Well, my English teacher, his son, he's working at Google. He's a couple of years older than me. I think he's 26, 27, right? He's actually working at Google UK, and he was definitely one of my mentors back in high school. I used to do a lot of model imagination with him. And he really put me forward because he came from a simple background as well, right? He came from essentially nothing, and now he's making it big, working at Google. And we kind of had that kind of same pathway, and that's what kind of really inspired me, because then I saw if he can do it, so can I.
100%. And like, what about today? Like, do you have anyone that you listen to on a regular basis that like keeps you focused on your goals and targets? Like, do you have anyone, yeah, anyone on YouTube or like any podcasts to listen to?
I really should. I really should, but I honestly don't.
Mm,
I don't honestly don't really have anyone in particular. But I
mm-hmm,
think the friend group that I have so far, right?
mm-hmm,
Oh, they will come to me sometimes.
mm,
And that kind of really pushed me forward. I come to uni, and this is 3 weeks before the course with deadline. They ask me, bro, how do you find the course? I'm like, you guys are done?
mm, mm,
You guys started?
mm,
And I'm like, yeah, all right, damn it, I'm on it.
mm,
And
mm.
I think that they really pushed forward.
Ah, okay, okay, awesome. So basically, you're just too busy grinding to like even listen to any shit. Basically, you just can't get distracted by any like, whatever's happening on YouTube or in the media. You're just so focused on your mission, and you know what you need to do, and you're just constantly executing every day in, day out, day in, day out.
I mean, no, I still got time for YouTube, right? Like
Mm.
when I'm having my lunch or my dinner, I'm an iPad kid through and through.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
I'm still watching YouTube and stuff. But what I really tell people is, what you watch on YouTube kind of matters, right? I think
Yeah.
a lot of my CS knowledge comes from just watching computer science and like channels like Live Overflow, which is
Mm.
like a hacking channel, while I'm eating my lunch and stuff. And I think like when I just have random knowledge about something and someone asks me where the hell do you learn that, like I'm probably just watched it on YouTube like 3 weeks ago,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So I definitely still have time for it, but I think my main motivators, and I think if you surround yourself with the right kinds of people, I think you become the average of the five people surrounding you the most, right?
100%.
And I think I've done a good job, curating those five people, and I think that's so much better than any motivational YouTube channel.
Yeah, 100%, man. Like I remember listening to, Mr. Beast, right?
Yeah,
So how he got to where he is, like he had like four or five close friends that he had that were all doing YouTube together. And so they all learned from each other's mistakes. And because they were learning from each other's mistakes instead of just their own, they accelerated their whole growth. And like now they're all killing it because they were just focused on one thing. There was a group of them, and they were just constantly like exchanging notes and just getting better each day. So that's perfect, man. That's great.
exactly. I think we you got accelerated by if we have a group of people, right, and you just all learn from each other. I think that's wonderful.
Cool, man. Cool, man. So my question to you now is like you seem to be doing really well right now. What are your next steps? So like, do you have any like big goals or big dreams? I think I asked you this at the event. I was like, do you have any like
Mm.
big goals or big dreams that you want to accomplish, like basically in your lifetime?
Yeah, I think the near goals is right now I'm building software for others, right?
Mm-hmm.
I definitely want to create my own startup. I'm not really sure
Mm-hmm.
in which field, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where I'm kind of building it for myself as opposed to building someone else's dream.
Yeah.
That's not a near-term goal. But I think the long-term vision is to be able to create some sort of technology, some sort of long-term goal that really does help humanity, right, as a
Mm-hmm.
whole.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not particularly sure how I'm gonna come to that. But we'll find out.
Okay, okay, okay. If you had to pick one like niche that you want to do, or like one software niche that you want to develop in to change the world, for example, blockchain, AI, um, what else? Like data science, something like that. Like, what niche would you pick and why?
Initial big one, interesting. Um, Honestly, it has to be AI, right?
Uh-huh.
But more in the sense of we we as humanity we just create so much data every single day, right?
Yeah.
And there's so many knowledge gaps because you just can't recognize if I'm doing research on some niche topic and someone else has already done it, right?
Mm.
It's incredibly hard to find out that someone else has done that research, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
think AI definitely could help not only create more knowledge, but to link that knowledge together such that we're able to like use all these different research papers, right, to
Mm-hmm.
actually create something of substance, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one of the if you look at like NASA or something, right? they'll do research. They'll do research with no tangible end product in mind, right? But then 20, 30 years later, right, people combine research from NASA and other agencies to make some amazing technology, right? And I think AI could definitely be able to crawl through all that kind of data, perhaps give insights onto technologies such that we don't have to wait 10 years after NASA's done doing the research now. And I think with the exponential growth of knowledge that we have in this day and age, I think that's something that would be really useful. And perhaps that's the startup I'm going to build.
Yo, that sounds amazing. I didn't know that. Like, so NASA like does all these like heavy data science stuff, and then like they don't actually use it for anything in particular, or at least for a long time. And then other people come along, take that data, combine it with other data, and then make a product. Is that what happens?
That's what happens in research a lot, because it's not immediately obvious what the end product of the research is. Yeah.
Shit, I just learned something there. Tell me more about the kind of clients that your agency attracts.
All right, Brad. I think the kind of client that the clients my agency attracts are definitely clients that we definitely have a lot of small clients, right? Because I think the big boys would rather go with companies like Shopify or something that have a very established presence with their own office and everything. But I think the clients that we do get, right, are definitely small scale startups that really believe in the vision, and people who would really benefit from our guidance, right? And I think one of the clients that we have right now, they came to us because I've networked with them tremendously, right? And I think what's how I know that a client will definitely work with me is when they have something that when they have an idea, or they have a concept that doesn't really fit into the mold that other agencies like to push them into, right? Our company is entirely willing to hire people for a certain stack or certain technology, or to learn new stacks and technologies that don't fit into the molds of our previous clients, right? I think other companies do that for efficiency, right? But that definitely does fit you in terms of your clients. And definitely, if you use the wrong technology for the job, it's not going to be great, right?
Yeah.
And that's the kind of clients we attract, people with very unique ideas and unique technological requirements.
Okay, so if a client came to you and they were like, "Yo, we got this project. It's in Fortran. We need you to like redo this mainframe." Would you say yes?
Oh man, that is. I'm gonna have to do a lot of research before I say yes to that one. Because I'm not gonna say yes to everything, right? Because I don't want to fail. I don't want to like ruin the client, right? I want to make sure it's something that I can realistically actually accomplish, right?
Yeah.
So probably if it's Fortran with 1,000 lines of code, that's probably doable.
Yeah.
If it's 1,000,000 lines of code, man, you're gonna need a bigger bigger hammer.
Yeah, 100%. And like you mentioned, like if this then that in regards to vetting the project. Like when a client comes to you, like what is like the briefing like? Like is it vague? Like do they give you like a lot of details? Like, oh, we want this, and this. And then when they give you that briefing, do they always tend to like add more things on later, or is it like how does that work? Like how does the whole interaction negotiation work when you get a client?
Well, the first thing that the clients do is they'll usually have some brand idea, with no specifics really. And I try to talk to them. It's like, all right, cool, nice brand idea. What are you trying to solve, right? And I think that's what we do as software engineers. We take a big specification, right, and whittle it down to the tiniest details, and that's not just at the software level. That's at the conceptual level as well for the client. So what I'll do is I'll come to the client. I'll talk to them. All right, this is what you want. This is your kind of idea, and then we focus on, okay, what is the problem we're trying to solve, right? And then we once we've drilled down and we find it's a good problem to solve, right? I look into how can I realistically accomplish this, and that's after the meeting, right? How can I realistically accomplish this? What is the MVP, right? What's the roadmap? What's the pathway? I'll present it to them, right? They'll look through it, and then we'll go through a couple more rounds of back and forth, because Perhaps they don't like the roadmap. They want to screen some things, right? And that's done all. So then we have that back and forth until we have an MVP, a roadmap, and while the project's going, I will have some flexibility. But I do let the clients know that the more changes we make, and the more off we go off on the roadmap, quality is going to go down, and the time taken is going to go way up. So most clients know that once we have this roadmap, to try not to change it that much. And what's nice is because there's so many steps on the way, right? Once we have that MVP, right, and now you want to change some things later on the roadmap, that's much more doable than if you just started everything all together all at once. So that's why we're able to even offer that level of flexibility to the client.
That's awesome. So you make the MVP, and then from there you can add all those crazy features that they want afterwards. That's
exactly, and that's probably better for their startup as well, because with that MVP, they're able to attract their clientele and actually start growing the business, as opposed to taking such a long time to actually build this grand idea, and you don't know if people want it yet. And now you spent so much money and so much time, and you haven't even validated your product yet.
Right. Yes, makes sense. So how do you manage your time as a CTO, CEO, like everything, man? Like, how do you do the business side of like marketing and sales, but also code? Like, or do you have someone else that does that for you?
No, we don't have anyone that does marketing or sales for me. And in terms of code, I am also the lead in that. But yeah, time management, it's definitely a very, very pertinent topic. And what I try to do is I try to finish off my uni work by Monday, Tuesday. So Monday, Tuesday, it's just full uni work, right? If client calls, and I'll pick up. But otherwise, in company internals, everyone knows Monday, Tuesday I'm not really that. And I because my company is also students as well, so I tell them you get your uni work done as well, right?
So I didn't catch that. You went quiet there. What was that?
Yeah, so Monday, Tuesday, I tell my clients, sorry, my employees, they're also uni students. So Monday, Tuesday, you get your uni work done. We have meeting on Wednesday. But yeah, I think in terms of time management, right? It's in terms of marketing sales, I don't really do that right now, and much at all, because we have our big clients, and it's going quite well, and I want to focus on them first. But honestly, but my main form of marketing is going to events like the ones you met me at, right? And that's like going to those events. I really don't think they come to my time, because we went to the event. It was like an hour and a half, and I got dinner as well. That's basically standard dinner time, isn't it? So that didn't really even take how much time. But how I really try to balance my time is that I try to time box things, right? I'll work on my code for 2 hours, right? Then I'll look on the code for like 3 hours or something, right? And I try to make sure that I don't extend out of those hours, right? I think making sure you have a schedule is very important, right? And that's kind of why I try to stay away from vices like alcohol or whatnot, because those really kill your schedule, right? Once you go on a night out, you don't know if you're coming back at 12 a.m. or 5 a.m. or what time you're going to wake up, right? Like
exactly, yeah.
That has to be a rarity. And I think that's really one of the pitfalls. I think I've seen a lot of students. They go clubbing every night, and then they think, well, I can't keep with my degree, right? But yeah, you cut out that one thing, and you're sorted.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like a lot of success is about removing things, not adding things. So like I'm with you right there when it comes to vices. Like I never really drink, no drugs. I used to do those things when I was a student. So I'm actually amazed that obviously you got all this discipline as a 21-year-old student who's surrounded by people that are doing all this like degenerate stuff. But somehow I know why you're so disciplined, because you got this company, but that's really rare, man. That's a really good trait to have. Like
I think you really have to look past the mask, right? Because these people, they're going out, they're enjoying themselves, spending all this money, right? And you think, what am I doing wrong? And then you talk to them, you realize they're $2,000 into their overdraft,
Yeah.
their finances are ruined. They've maxed out their student loans, you know. And I think it's very glamorous until you look under the hood and realize I probably don't want to do this.
100%. And then you realize the reason why they're doing it is to cover up some sort of like pain or some sort of like it's just hedonism. Like they're trying to like basically if you're not producing something and like being efficient, then you're just getting worse. And so like they're trying to cover up the bad feeling by feeling good and doing drugs and alcohol and blah blah blah. And I know that because I used to do that. So yeah.
I mean, I'm not opposed to having fun. I play squash. I go go karting,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But sober activities. You go play
Of
squash.
course.
You spend an hour or two, and you got exercise. Your blood's pumping. Your brain's great, right? And you go back and go get some work done, right? So I'm not against having fun. But I think choose the right activities.
I'm with you, man. I'm right there with you. Great. So last question before we finish. What's your opinion on Web3 and blockchain, and why?
It's controversial opinion on this channel, but
Go on.
I'm not really too with the at least the current sense of or at least the hype that we had last year with all the NFTs and all and I think most people who definitely weren't trying to take advantage of others were probably thought that that last year stuff was kind of there's a lot of sketchy people, right? But I think cryptocurrency as a whole, right, especially like private currencies, I think those are incredibly useful, and I will always support private currencies like Monero, right? And I think smart contracts definitely have some viability. I don't think I've seen a very good use for it yet, but I think they're definitely very viable. So I'm definitely very conservative on it, right? I support private currencies. Smart contracts have some viability, but I think the whole NFT space, I'm definitely a lot more skeptical about it.
Yeah. I'm with you. Like, in my opinion, this whole like NFTs are where Bitcoin was back in 2013 or whatever. Like when people were using it to buy pizzas. Like they're just using it for like stupid shit, like not for real utility. But that's what's happening like now, and I feel like, well, I predict over the next few years, leading into the end of the decade, even we're going to see NFTs being used for a lot of things, especially in real estate. I met this guy at an event last week or the week before, and he tokenizes real estate revenue. So not the ownership of the real estate itself, but like the revenue that it produces. So let's say like I own like 10 apartments or whatever. I can sell like a piece of those 10 apartments and take and earn that revenue as a token. And like I guess that token has some sort of utility tied to it. I didn't really fully understand how the token itself worked, but apparently it's really successful internationally, he said. They're called Block Square, if you want to look them up. And yeah, I met I think he was a CTO, a really interesting guy. He works for GraphQL, Apollo. But yeah, man, great talk. Like we got 4 minutes left on the timer. Is there anything you want to say before we get parted?
I mean, I've really enjoyed this meeting. Great talking to you. Hopefully, I'll be more of a common appearance on this channel again.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, I mean, follow your dreams, and you'll make it.
I will, man. I will, and so will you. And again, great conversation. I'd love to meet you again in person, or even hang out with your team that you've acquired here in Manchester. I'd love to get to know you guys, network with you. Be a great experience, both of us, I think. So yeah, man.
Yeah, 100%, man. Anytime. Hit me up on LinkedIn.
Will do. All right, then, Madhav. I'm gonna end the recording here. Take care, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.